All right. All right, now it's on. Okay, so today I'm here with my friend Victor, the OG. Victor, why don't you introduce yourself like briefly like about like your name, what's your major, your age, and your like what's your dream career?
For sure. So my name is Victor. I'm 22 and I'm a transfer student from Pasadena City College. And now I'm going to UC Berkeley Haas School of Business, which is really exciting. I'm here right now. And I would say career-wise, I'm just looking to break into investment banking. And then from there, we'll see some sort of financial role. But life's a long game.
Yeah, it's a long game. But we all have like the typical like finance bro dream career, you know. Me and you
Yeah.
all have like investment bank.
Yeah. A lot of people at Haas really want to go into consulting.
Oh yeah?
Consulting is a really big thing here. Yeah. Huge.
That's quite different here.
So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're interested in consulting, viewers, Berkeley's a great school.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good information.
yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. Next question is like why Haas? Why did you choose Haas? Like among all the other like business schools, why Haas?
Okay, so this goes into my application process.
Oh.
So I applied to not only all the UCs, so the
Mhm.
University of California system. I also applied to private schools, both in California and out of state.
Yeah.
Um, so of all the private schools that I applied to, I didn't get into any one of them. Um, but I got into every single UC, including Haas, and I also got into the University of Michigan, Ross School of Business. So it was between Ross and Haas for me. And really, the majority like consideration was, I would say, was financial aid. I just really couldn't pass up Haas's offer, and so
Mm.
went here. I mean, I was going to end up paying 60K out of pocket as an out-of-state student, and I'm like, I can't justify 60K for a degree. I'm like that, so I went with Haas. I would say beyond like financial reasons, it's just I want to stay in the West Coast. I want to be in the Bay Area,
Okay.
and being so close to San Francisco. I mean, the hub of finance in the West Coast is in San Francisco,
That's
so
yeah.
no better place to be than over here in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And then I would say, um, just more on a personal note, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I wanted to kind of just be out of LA. So I
Okay.
got into UCLA for business economics,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just like I grew up in LA my whole life. I've seen this campus. I've been in this area. Like it's nothing new, and I'm not challenging myself. So moving up to the Bay was something that I've never done before. So I just wanted to challenge myself and kind of just get used to being uncomfortable. And I really love it here. The Bay is so cool. It's totally different from LA, but I like it.
Is it safe there recently?
You know what? Actually, it's actually pretty safe. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
hear a lot of, yeah, dude, it's not too bad. Actually, it's funny because you get warn me emails. So like you'll get emails saying like, oh, crime was reported here. And I'm like, oh my God, before I moved here, I was like, wow, there's a lot of crime. I was like, did I just move to Gotham? Like what am I getting myself into here? But yeah, it's actually not too bad. Like as long as you're like paying attention and you're not like doing things like if you don't have like $50 coming out of your pocket, you're gonna be fine as long as you're like aware and you know you're maybe with a couple other people or good friends that you trust, you're gonna be fine. Like usually the locals don't really mess with you too much. The most you'll get is like a homeless dude like yelling
Oh
at you.
yeah.
You not even at you. It's just like in your direction. He doesn't even know you're there. But like other than that, sometimes it's kind of funny, but it's not too bad actually.
Okay. That's good. Okay, so next one is like typical like Reddit question. Stats.
Oh, stats. Oh, of course. So I started community college in 2021 and I finished in 2024, so 3 years. So I was able to maintain a 3.86 GPA across all my courses, and I had like 80 something units under my belt by the time I transferred over. Um, I was got an A in pretty much every single major preparatory class that I needed
Okay.
for Berkeley.
Yeah.
The only class that I was not able to get an A was financial accounting. I
Mhm.
got a B, which sucked personally, but I really wanted that A. But you know, I was juggling another class and then working at the same time in the summer, so I'm fine with the B. And the worst case, actually, it's not even that bad because it doesn't transfer over, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like 1B doesn't really matter, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Um, I guess other things on my transcript that are like hard facts would be that I had three withdrawals.
Oh yeah.
So I had two regular withdrawals, and then I
Huh.
had an excuse withdrawal.
Okay.
So my excuse withdrawal was during my first semester in fall 2021. So we were still right in the middle of COVID. We were kind of dealing with that.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I just, I wasn't feeling the online learning. It wasn't my thing. Some other personal stuff happened, and I just felt like, you know what, I'm gonna withdraw and just kind of let myself, figure out this first semester.
Yeah.
Uh, able to retake the class and got an A in it. And then for my second class, I think my second W was for Calc 1. It's the first time I had taken it ever.
Mhm.
And then
Can be
also personal stuff as well popped up where I had to withdraw. And then my next W was in Calc 2, fall 2023.
Mhm.
And at that time, I was in the middle of the application, so I was also juggling that full time
Okay.
schedule.
Yeah.
And then I realized like I was like, oh my God, writing applications is like a job on top of my actual job, on top of school. And it was just too much. And I was like, well, I'd rather get these applications done. So I dropped Calc 2 and then picked it up in the winter and was able to complete it then. So fortunately, it all worked out. So that's awesome for me. So if you have a similar situation, the viewer, just know it's possible. You can get into a top school. You can get into the school of your dreams.
Yeah.
Word of advice for the applications: seriously, use like the additional comment section.
Oh yeah, that's
Whenever
true.
so
Yeah.
when
Uh-huh.
you'll input your class grades and like you'll have to like people don't really use the additional comments. Seriously, use it. Like explain every single W that you have or anything that doesn't look particularly amazing.
Mhm.
Like let's say you have a W or you got a C or you got a D in a particular class.
Yeah.
Just explain what happened, like the life context, because admissions officers understand life happens, and as long as you can explain away and your track record's solid, it shouldn't really affect you too much.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Most people just ignore the comment section and they just they're always like worried about, oh, I have this like W's and thing, but like they don't really use it. So that's really helpful advice.
Yeah.
Also, like if you don't mind me asking, like what about the high school GPAs?
Ooh. High school GPA was
If you don't want like go delve into.
no.
Oh,
I
okay,
can
yeah.
I can dive into it. Yeah, no
Okay.
problem. I have no shame. So my high school GPA was like a 2.0.
Okay.
Uh, barely graduated. Got exactly the number of units I needed to graduate high school. Um, so yeah, if you look at my high school transcript and my community college transcript, it's like two different people.
Different.
It's not like
Okay.
you wouldn't two totally different people. Like you wouldn't think, oh yeah, this came from this. But yeah, in high school I didn't really care, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Kind of just thought of like, maybe I'll join the military, maybe I'll just work for a year. Um, didn't help that I was smoking a lot of pot. I was smoking a lot of pot in high school, so yeah, I stopped doing that. Got my grades up, but yeah, it was yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, I would say it's just high school was just not it for me personally. So if you don't have the most stellar high school track record, doesn't really matter because you're going to community college. If you're planning on going to community college, you're going to be there for 2 years. Your college track record is going to matter significantly more than your high school track record.
That's true.
And I would say even if you're not coming to a community college and you're going to a 4-year university, um, your track record is going to matter more at the university level because when you're transferring in as a junior, or if you're going into your second year and you're applying, you're transferring in as a junior, which means you're going to be taking upper division courses. So
Mhm.
they really want to see how you performed in the under or lower division courses, just to see like, can you handle the rigor of this particular university? So yeah, I would say you maintain good GPA, and I would say a good GPA is dependent upon your major.
Uh-huh.
So a good GPA is different for a computer science major as it is for a business major or for an art major. So it's very dependent on major and what the university is looking for. But I would say if you're trying to go into business or economics, or you're trying to go into like the business career field, I would say a good GPA just in general to be competitive would be anywhere between 3.7 and up. So if you can block down to 3.7 and up, then you're in good standing academically wise. And then a good way to differentiate yourself would be like through extracurriculars or involvement or projects.
Okay, so yeah, that's really good one. Okay, so in addition to that, my next question is like, then what differentiated you from the others? Like, there's a lot of students who had like 4.0 GPA, and some students even had like vice president position in the associate students. But a lot of students I heard like this year, they even failed to get into UCLA. But you made it to Haas, which is like the best business program in the California, and one of the best in our entire nation. So what do you think is the factor that differentiated you from the like other students?
Oh man, I wish I could tell you. I mean, I would say I was just pretty honest in everything I was writing. I was like I did a lot of time writing my PIQs.
Okay.
And then think very critically about like, okay, like what am I going to write? Because it's so different from writing an academic paper. Like academic papers, you're writing like pages upon pages and pages of words. And it's totally opposite with PIQs. You only have 350 words to get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like writing not only concisely, but with impactful. So like making sure you get the core bits of your story and who you are on 350 words, which is pretty difficult to do. So it took me a long time to like perfect it. I would say I was part of a couple different resource programs that I thought was particularly helpful. I was part of Experience Berkeley Transfer, which is run through Styles Hall, which is one of the like outsourced reach community spaces here at Berkeley. They were really helpful. They were helping me out with like understanding, okay, like what is Berkeley? What does Berkeley have? What are they looking for? We had current Berkeley transfer students who were reviewing our PIQs and like making comments on it, helping us, get through the application process. So it's a really awesome program if you're someone who is if you're a person of color or you're part of the LGBTQ plus community or a first generation college student. It's a great program. Shout out to them. It's really helpful, especially for community college transfer students. It's really, really awesome. And I was also part of Triple CP, which is UCLA's version of Styles Hall. So so I was part of that. So that gives me an edge just in general, because when I was looking at the admissions data, when I was getting ready to apply, something like 75% of the incoming transfer class was part of Triple CP.
Oh,
which is like a huge number.
Yeah, it is definitely
huge. Yeah. So like just positioning yourself into that, just helps you a lot better. And then I would say I was also part of, I also did TAP, so the transfer admissions preference.
Yeah.
So I completed that for UCLA as well. So I think having those two things and then coming from a feeder school to UCLA just helps help me get into that. I would say in terms of extracurriculars, I was able to, pretty much worked all 3 years at community college. So juggling work and a full-time schedule. I just took as many opportunities as I could. I didn't say no to anything. So if opportunity presented itself, I just said yes. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
So that's actually how I got my research position with one of my professors. So I was taking honors courses. That's another good way to show that you have academic rigors taking honors courses. Mm-hmm. But I was able to foster a relationship with one of my professors, and she was so kind enough to ask me like, "Hey, are you interested in doing research? I have a bunch of work that I would love someone to help me out with." And I said yes. So that was super rewarding experience, like just kind of get hands-on experience with economics and understanding like, okay, like what is economic research? Especially Berkeley, all the UCs are all research institutions.
Yeah, that's true.
So having research experience already, even from a community college level, is like unheard of. It's very rare. It's not common. I can only count a few people who I know personally who have also research experience. So it's not very common. And it just, when you can connect hey, like I did this, like I took honors courses and I was really passionate about economics, and I was able to, get an offer for one of my professors to do a research program with her. And, now you can talk, like whatever you're saying on like your passion for the subject has a lot more weight because you're actually working in it and you're doing the academic rigor and work for it. So that has a lot of impact, I would say. I would also say that another thing that I did was part of Student Gov. I was part of the associate students at
Oh yeah,
Pasadena City College.
yeah.
I was the vice chairman of the student lobby committee. So that was also another really rewarding experience. Got to work closely with my colleagues on the committee. And then we were able to go to Sacramento in January. And we were able to go to Washington, D.C. and meet with legislators. So I was able to meet congressmen and senators and talk about issues that were affecting college students and particularly community college students. One thing that we were really pushing for was increased access to food on campus. So having a program that community colleges can tap into, like kind of like a dining hall, but at the community college level. Also, increasing the federal Pell Grant to adjust for the cost of living, because currently the Pell Grant, the maximum you can get is like 7,000 and some change across the academic year. So if you break it down per semester, it's like 3,500, something like that. So we're really advocating for a bill to make the Pell Grant adjusted for the cost of living and for inflation. So that way, you know, your money's going
To the
farther
right.
instead of so it's gonna last you a lot longer. So I would say that's another thing that differentiated me. And then in my essays, I just talked about my personal experience. I was homeless for a while. So I was homeless right after high school and like kind of in between community college. Like first year of community college, also homeless. So just talking about that and being really honest and like, hey, like this was my experience. I'm like, hey, like I worked through it. I'm still taking classes. I'm still getting A's. Like, I'm couch surfing. You know, it just shows that grit. And I think that's another thing that really like differentiated me, because I mean, how many people can say, hey, I was homeless and now I'm here and I'm killing it at community college and now I'm going to kill it at Haas. It's not very common.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'd say that's something that's super like differentiating for me, but also just genuine, just being super genuine and just kind of letting go a little bit. Because trust me, when you're doing the application process, like you're overthinking every single word and every single period that you're putting into your and you're like making sure like, am I doing enough? Trust me, you're doing enough. You just, you know, trust the process. I know it's easy to say now that I'm in, but trust me, trust the process. The process is it's painful, it sucks sometimes, but in the end, you'll end up at the school that you're supposed to be at.
So, like being like honest with your vulnerability and showing your resilience was definitely the key factor that helped you on your essay part, right?
Yeah, totally. And also being part of those programs that are helping students,
Like,
that's helpful because I can get other people's perspective on my writing. Because to do that, get other people's perspective on writing, people you trust, so that way I just ask them questions like, does this sound like me? Is this my voice on the page? And they should say, yeah, that this sounds like you. I would recommend not picking your parents, because your parents are always going to sugarcoat things and they're not going to, especially if you're a first generation student, they're not necessarily the best people to ask, because one, they love you, so they're not going to give you like too much harsh criticism, and two, if you're the first person in your family ever going to college, they don't know what colleges are looking for.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's best to get people who are already got in to like help you with your essays.
okay. That was really good advice. So next question was like what kind of extracurricular you did, but you already answered, so we can skip on that one. And so the next one is like why did you choose community college? Like why did you come to Pasadena City College? Like you had the option to go to the 4 years institution and transfer from there, right? But like in that case, like 4 years institution has more prestige title when you apply to schools, but like why did you come to community college? Like which can be like less prestige compared to like other like 4 year schools, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I barely graduated high school, so I graduated with a 2.0, straight C's across the board. So college, high school me was not getting into college. Maybe Cal State LA if I was lucky, but um, I mean, so really going to a 4 year really wasn't much of an option for me. And also, like I said, I was also thinking about like perhaps joining the military and kind of figuring myself out then. But I just chose Pasadena City College in particular because it was relatively close to my high school. It wasn't too far away from that, and I knew the area. I knew it was a good community college. I knew that students from Pasadena City College end up at like UCLA, UC Berkeley. Some of them end up at Stanford or MIT, and then a couple like this last cycle, one of them ended up at Princeton,
Yeah.
which was crazy. And we also sent a few students over to Yale, or which is surprising. Like it's not very common, but yeah, it's been consistently one person every year ends up at Yale. Not every year, but it seems to be about the average.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, so somewhat average. So yeah, I'd say those were my reasons. It was also cheaper. You really can't beat the price and impact you get on a community college education. Um, a lot of people think that community college is like, oh man, like you're there and the education sucks. No, the education is actually pretty good if you go to a good community college. The education is actually pretty good because there's a couple of reasons. One, the professors there are actually there to teach.
Oh yeah, that's
like
true.
They're actually passionate about the subject, and they're actually good teachers. Because a lot of professors at four-year institutions like Berkeley or any other one, Yale or Harvard, they're not there to teach. They're actually there to do research.
Yeah.
So they could care less about teaching undergraduates, let alone their grad students. So like they're more focused on their research. So you actually get a lot more one-on-one time with professors at a community college because your class is about 30 to 40 people, which is generally unheard of at UC Berkeley. Generally, our lower division classes will have 500 plus people. There's been classes where there's more than 500 people and there's not enough seating for them, so you just have to attend on Zoom. Mm-hmm. So it's practically impossible for you to get to know your professor and like really get that one-on-one at a big institution. So I would say those are some of the few reasons that I picked Pasadena City College.
Okay, yeah, that's
Oh, and I guess to just kind of follow up on that second question, like because 4 years tend to have more prestige. It's kind of like a catch-22, especially when it comes to like transfer admissions.
Yeah.
Because you have to articulate your reason why you are transferring from a 4-year.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Because at a community college, when you're transferring from a community college, it's your articulation reason is very simple. It's like, okay, hey, I'm at community college. I've already done my 2 years. I want to transfer to continue going to my bachelor's. And then you can talk about why this school is such a good reason or like why you'd be a good fit. So it's a lot more straightforward when you're talking from a 4-year perspective and you're trying to transfer. The reasons for, transferring into a different institution become a lot more limited because you're not capped at the 2-year mark at a CC. So you can finish your 4 years and get your bachelor's anywhere at that point. So it'd be more about like, okay, like, is there a specific program that your university does not offer that this particular university does? That would be a good reason. Also personal reasons, like, okay, like family member got sick and I need to be closer to home. Mm-hmm. Great reason to want to transfer. But yeah, your reasons start becoming a lot more limited. So you really have to think critically, like, okay, why am I transferring? Like, why do I want to transfer to this school? And think about it from the other person's perspective. Okay, is this a good reason? Because if you're wanting to transfer from, let's say you're already at a top 25 school, you're at, I don't know,
UCLA, maybe.
What's a top 25 school? Yeah, you're at UCLA. Why not? You're at UCLA and you're sophomore and you're not feeling UCLA and you want to transfer to like
Harvard.
I don't know. Let's say you want to Harvard. That's crazy, but yeah, sure. Let's say you want to transfer to Harvard. Yeah, you'll be one of the 12 people who get into Harvard. But I would say, so if you're transferring from UCLA and you want to go to a 4-year university, it's just a lot harder to articulate your reason because all universities generally have the same resources. So like, yeah, you're going to have a robust career center. You're going to have the dining halls. You're going to have a robust club system. You're going to have opportunity to do research. Like you have to find them, but they're there. Whereas at community college level, it's like, okay, yeah, you don't have a robust career center.
Not at all.
You do not have access to research.
Yeah.
You do not have access to a lot of things. So it's kind of like, okay, well, your reasoning has become a lot less. So and plus, it's like if your track record isn't particularly amazing at your 4-year, it's also like, okay, like it's just a continuation of what it's going to be at another school. So admissions officers can see that. Yeah, like if your main reason is like, oh, I want to just go to the best possible school. I'm already at a good school, but I want to go to another school because it's prestigious. Mm-hmm. Not a good reason, and they're going to see right through it, and they're just going to give you a big fat no.
That's true.
Worst case scenario, you just still end up at your school. You still end up at your top school with your top degree. So it doesn't really change your life too much.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is kind of funny because like Pasadena City College actually, like if you're a STEM major, because of the Caltech, you have like a lot of research opportunities. But for like students like us, like business, economics, whatever, we don't really have a chance to get like involved in the like those research, because most of the professors, as you mentioned before, are focusing on the teaching, not to research. So yeah, it's kind of ironic because like if you're STEM major, you can just stay there to research at Caltech, do whatever. But
Yeah. Yeah, I knew a couple of students who are researching at Caltech. One of my good friends, Produce, he's researching at Caltech, and it's so cool seeing him doing his thing.
yeah,
But yeah, Pasadena City College is a great place if you're a STEM student because you have access to Caltech. Like Caltech is literally like a block away
best.
from
Yeah,
campus.
yeah.
Like, and they have specific programs for like community college research STEM students. So, and also some of our professors were graduates of Caltech. Like I
Oh
take
yeah,
an astronomy
even the
professor.
yeah
Yeah,
astronomy professor.
yeah, like oh yeah, our professor
Yeah,
Masa. That's right. That's how we
yeah,
met. I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah.
It's just I feel like I've known him for so long, but yeah, that's right. Masha is a graduate from Caltech, and she's teaching at PCC, and she's super helpful. So STEM, seriously, PCC is a great place. And if you're not at PCC, there are other amazing community colleges that also have great STEM programs that are relatively close or feeders to the big university. So
Yeah.
for Santa Monica College, if you're there, UCLA is like their feeder school. So
Oh yeah,
like I'm sure there's specific programs for SMC students to get into STEM research.
that's true.
And if not,
Yeah.
just start cold emailing. Cold email your professors, like the professors in the area. And he's like, hey, I am a student from XYZ Community College. I'm so passionate about, this subject, and I would love the opportunity to research with you. Not everyone's going to respond to you, but, you just need one response. You just need one yes. So, just take it and run with it.
Okay, so we only got 10 minutes right now, so let's kind of make it quick.
Oh, no.
So let's take a look on your time at your PCC. Like, how was it? Like, was it your like prime time, or like was it your like shittiest moment of your life? Like, how do you think about it?
Okay. It's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Okay. So going in, I was already working and I had this mindset of I do not want to be here at community college. I hate it here. So that was my mindset. I was like, I'm just gonna like lock in, take as many classes as I possibly can, and just like transfer out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And I realized like as I was going through classes, I was like, oh, I actually really like it here. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's really
Um,
cool.
like it was so cool. I was like, wow, this is so awesome. I love the campus. I love the energy. I love the vibe. The professors were all engaging. So I learned to actually love my community college and just really enjoy it and like just be in the moment, because a lot of the times people are so focused on leaving that it's hard to make connections there. So I found that just finding your niche of people who are you know vibe with you, and like it's gonna be fun. Like how I met Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, yeah, I mean, we vibed, man. It was cool. So
Yeah. So okay, yeah, that's good to hear. And the last question for today's interview will be you have like any advice to like future students getting ready to transfer, like do this or do that, like
yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about it, pro tips or just advice just in general throughout this
yeah.
conversation. But um, I guess just to recap, make sure you have a GPA that's above a 3.7 and up. If you want to go to University of California, community college is the way to go, especially if you want to transfer in, because something like 99 or 95% of the transfer class to the University of California is coming from a community college in
Mhm.
California.
That's
So
true.
if you want to go to UCLA or Santa Barbara or Irvine, California community colleges are the way to go. Also helps that the California Community College System has a website called assist.org that articulates
Oh yeah.
all the classes that you need to have for any particular major for the specific campus that you want to get into. So
Yeah.
utilize that. It's so helpful. Also take a look into TAG, so the Transfer Admissions Guarantee Program. That's something that the University of California system does for community college students. So
Yeah.
you can apply to pretty much any of you can only apply to 6 of the 8 UCs
Yeah.
because UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UC San Diego do not offer a tag, but all the other ones do. So you can fill out an agreement, and as long as you have a certain GPA and you complete all the coursework, the chance of you getting into a particular school is like really high. So I would say utilize that if you're in California. Um, Spend time writing, work on your PIQs. I know it's the summer, so if you're gearing up to transfer for fall 2025, start working on your essays because they're going to change. I remember looking back at my first set of essays, I was like, wow, these suck. These are bad.
Yeah.
It's just really refining everything and just making
Yeah.
sure that like you're just working on it. And I would say another pro tip is to not pick similar questions in your essays. So there's going to be a required essay, such as the like, how have you prepared for upper division courses? So there, I would just talk about research, classes you've taken, stuff that you've done outside of school, about that. And then I would say, like they have some similar ones, like okay, like how do you handle, like what is your leadership style? And just talk about that. So I'd say making sure you pick different questions because some of them are pretty similar, and if you end up taking like 2 similar questions, it ends up feels like you're answering one question instead of two. So just making sure you're picking different questions that have a different aspect of you in each application, because these university applications are holistic. They're looking at the whole picture of you and not just the academic side of you. So I would say do that. Other advice, I would say enjoy the moment. You're young.
That's very important.
Typically, yeah. Enjoy the moment, because trust me, if you're always thinking, "Oh my God, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate it here, I want to get out as fast as possible," trust me, your time is going to feel miserable, so much longer, and you're going to hate it. You're going to feel miserable, and you're going to think, "Oh my God, I can't wait to get out." And it's not the mindset you want to have, because once you're open and you're like, "Yeah, I'm chill, I'm loving this place," like trust me, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel a lot better about your classes. You're going to vibe with people a lot more. And then let's say any other advice that I would have, just in general, trying to transfer. Make sure you look at the transfer rates. Some of these schools have like less than 1% transfer rates. So just knowing like if you can get a fee waiver, go for it. Apply. Like I applied at Yale, Harvard, Dartmouth, all the Ivies. I didn't get in, but I didn't pay. So at the end of the day, I didn't really lose out. So always giving yourself a shot. If you're that's another thing. Always give yourself a shot. If you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to get in, go for it. Because I thought the same thing. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get into Berkeley Haas. I was like, well, I don't know, but I'm just going to submit my application. So yeah, just seriously give yourself a shot, because the worst they can say is no and nothing changes. You're not there. If they say yes, now everything is different.
That's a different story. Like if you'll be like,
yeah, like yes, I got in. So now if they say no, well, you already weren't there. So life doesn't change. So you only win when you give yourself a shot.
That's true. Yeah,
and I would say for Haas in particular, so if your Haas is your number one school, I would say really focus on your supplemental essays and your supplemental video interview. So making sure that when you're doing your supplemental essay, you're actually incorporating the Haas defining principles.
Yeah.
So be on yourself, student always, challenge the status quo, and confidence of that attitude. So those are the 4 like Haas defining leadership principles. So making sure that you can like kind of incorporate them in your supplemental, or incorporate them throughout your application. Yeah, it's going to look good, because that's something that they're really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just in general, those principles. Who doesn't want that in a person? Who doesn't want to go beyond? Who doesn't want to be a student? Like these are all great, values that anyone would want in a person to have. And then I would say for the video interview, you only get 3 tries for the video interview. So, and you can't go back and pick the best one. So like if you're like, oh, okay, like I didn't like this one, or I like this one, you want to do another one, you don't have access to that. So that kind of sucked. Pro tip: if you don't get an answer, you can usually find the answers, or not the answers, but the questions that they're going to be asking you online. Typically, someone will always post it on Reddit, like, "Oh, did anyone answer these?" Or yeah, so you can find it on there. And then, but I would say making sure that you're looking at the camera, you're confident, you're not doing anything too crazy. Just kind of like a normal interview. Fun fact: I didn't get to answer all 4 questions. I only answered 3 of the 4.
Hey, so you're there.
I'm there. I kind of felt when I did that, I was like, oh man, and that was on my last attempt too, so I couldn't change it. I waited the last minute. Don't do that. But I was just as soon as I finished the recording, I was like, yeah, I can kiss Haas goodbye. I was like, I'm not getting in. And then I was surprised in April. So yeah, I would say those are like my advice for Haas specifically. Um, oh, the subreddits. Subreddits are helpful.
Oh yeah, so
If
Reddit's
you're not on if you're not on like if you're not on r/transfer student and you want to be a transfer student, like that's a great place to check out because there's tons of people with a lot of questions. Probably if someone's probably had a similar situation to you and there's probably an answer for it. Worst case scenario, you can just reach out to people who are on there. r/top transfer top 25 is a good one. You're trying to go to a quote unquote top school, great place. People are cracked. They got some crazy stats. Um, Utilize the transfer center at your CC. If you're at a 4 year, I don't think there's a transfer center, but yeah, utilize the transfer center. They're very helpful. They're always having alums or transfer student reps coming in. They're gonna take a look at your essays. I would say, yeah, that's pretty much my advice. I mean, I don't think. I mean, you can go deeper, but I think that's all the time we have right now.
yeah. So okay, ladies and gentlemen, this was Victor, and thank you for your time, Victor. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for
Bye.
having me.